Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, How to Create a Successful Email. My name is Jill, and joining me today is Amber Ricchetti from the marketing team. So today we're going to take you through some great tips on how to create an email that's going to work for your readers in whatever program they're reading, and also some tips on content and design. This webinar is about 45 minutes long, maybe a little bit longer. And at the end, we will do Q&A. So if you have questions, go ahead and type those in to the box that you see in your GoToWebinar window, and we'll be more than happy to answer as many of those as we can at the end of the webinar. To answer a question that I know we're going to get, even though I'm going to say this, we are recording this, so this will be available for you to look at later on. You'll be able to access this on our help site under the recorded webinars section. So if there's something you want to come back and revisit, we will have that available for you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So this is what we're going to cover today. We're going to go through why you would want to have an email. Hopefully you all do have an email, but we're going to take you through that, as well as some tips for designing your email and information about what you're going to learn from your newsletters once you've sent it out. And we do have a slide of resources to help you get started a little bit more, so stick around to check those out. Our resources are always free. And then, as I said, we do have Q&A at the end.
All right, hi everyone. Happy Friday. So here we are with why you would want to have an email. So just to kind of cover some basics here, the first one is that emails build relationships. They build retention. You can build customer loyalty. An email is just a really positive way to communicate to your customers and to kind of keep a conversation going and an ongoing dialogue and to build a relationship. It also gives you an excuse to talk about your company. So if you have something new going on, if you have won an award or have a new product release or anything to that extent, you can actually send an email and just let your audience know what's going on. And that also continues to build the relationship because they feel like they're in the loop with what's going on with your business. Another reason is to stay in front of your audience. So one thing that an email does is it keeps you top of mind. There are lots of emails that come into somebody's inbox on a given day. During the holidays, there's like hundreds of them. So you really want to be seen there. If you're not seen, people forget about you. There's just a lot of stuff going on. So it kind of keeps you top of mind, and then when somebody's looking for a certain product or to buy something, they think of you because they've seen your emails. If you're not mailing very consistently, people will see your email come through and maybe think, oh, I don't remember signing up for this, and they could potentially delete it or mark it as spam. So you want to be consistent about building that relationship, maybe emailing, at least once a month so people don't forget about you. Another reason to have an email is to educate your audience or to entertain your audience. You can send out any number of educational emails. We do them with our guides or white papers. If you have a story or something funny that happened, something in relation to an employee or the CEO or just the business in general, you can email that in a bit of an entertaining manner. So that's another reason to have an email. And then this kind of goes along with education, but establishing yourself as an expert in your industry. So sending emails is a really great way to build credibility. People will know your company and your products and realize, okay, these people know it better than anyone else. So that's a really great reason to have an email. And then, of course, just the standard to sell your products and services. So an email is great for all these other things, but at the end of the day, you want to affect the bottom line, and it's through selling your products and services that you can do that.
So on the next couple of slides, these are some of the things we're going to cover from label and subject line. Some content ideas, probably next to how do I grow my mailing list. The second most asked question we get here are, I don't know what to put in my email. So we're going to give you some ideas for your content. We're going to talk a little bit about call to action, what it is and how to use that in your email, and then images.
Okay, so first thing we're going to talk about is the from label. And this and the subject line itself are the two most important things that are going to actually help your email get opened. It's a big determining factor. So the from label generally should be your company name. This is how somebody's going to recognize you and think, okay, I know who this company is or this person is. I signed up for this. I have a relationship with them. So you want to be consistent with it. If you're changing your from label a lot, people will become confused. So we have an example here of some from labels, and you can see that they're generally company names here. And that's really great because people relate to all of these things. DMA, Direct Marketing Association, Salesforce, we use them for all of our data, and then Mavericks of the surf competition.
Mhm.
So those are great examples of just company names. And just so you know, in vertical response, the from label is pulled in from your account. So when you set up your account, you should set that and then pick one and kind of run with it moving forward so that people can recognize you and you can establish that credibility. And so the subject line, the other most important thing that helps your emails get opened, the subject line is generally a call to action that is going to have someone say, oh, that's really interesting. I want to learn more about that. I'm going to open that. So here are a few best practices to keep in mind when you're doing a subject line. You want to stick to about 40 to 50 characters. There's very limited space in a subject line, so you want to be really careful. Cut out any extraneous words that you don't need. Put the most important information at the very front so that people see that and it really captures their attention. And you also want to let people know what to expect. So you kind of have to make a promise in the subject line, and then you want to be sure to fulfill that promise when they open up the email. You definitely don't want to be misleading. People open it and get kind of confused, and that can be a really bad user experience.
Plus, that goes against the can't
Yes,
spam law.
and it's illegal. So, even more importantly, the other thing to keep in mind is not repeating your from label. As I said before, there's very limited space. So if you're pulling in the from label, and which is generally your company name, and then saying that again in the subject line, it's really repetitive and redundant. It just doesn't need to be there. People already know who you are. So you want to tell them something else that will then further compel them to open up your email. Some other things to keep in mind too, you don't want to use all caps. That's very spammy, so generally avoid doing that. There's also some interesting examples here of free in all caps with spaces between it, super spammy. Try not to do that. Definitely don't put asterisks in between the free. That's even worse. And the one above there that says an insight, it sounds like someone's yelling when you see all caps. So best to try to avoid that. And in regards to punctuation, you don't want to overuse punctuation. That's also a spammer tactic, and you can see a few examples. That's in the from line, but it has like the and the pound sign and the semicolon. So that's not really helpful or offering anything. Too many exclamation points can seem spammy. I was on a webinar yesterday, and they were talking about some of the best performing punctuation and subject lines that occurred last holiday season, and I think they generally apply. But dot, dot, dot performed really well, question marks, but exclamation points, because it's used a lot, actually wasn't performing as well.
So they lost their effectiveness.
In mind. Yes. Yeah. So, if you want to test having one, that's great. Maybe not 3 or 5. And now we have the pre-header text, and a lot of people ask, what is the pre-header? So basically what a pre-header is it's supplementary information that's pulled in a lot of email clients after the subject line. If your subject line is not super, super long and taking up all the space, you can actually take advantage of the extra room and say something else that will get people's attention. So that will hopefully further compel someone to open your email. And we have an example here. And as you can see, that the pre-header in this one is slightly different than what the subject line is saying, but it also assists it and kind of hits the point home a little bit harder. So that's really helpful, and it adds some additional value. So it's basically just secondary copy that the preview pane, most preview panes will pull in. And then here's an example of what this looks like when an email is open with all the various pieces of the subject line. So you can see the subject line, then you see the front line, which is Williams-Sonoma, a very well-known brand, and then you can see the pre-header text. And so this is what it looks like when it's opened, and the last page showed you what it looks like when you're looking at all the subject lines in your inbox. Thank you.
You're welcome. And also, the great thing about this particular pre-header is that it's got a buy now link in there. So
Yes.
if you can add a link into your pre-header, that's also very helpful to help get more click-throughs in your email, because it's the first link they're going to see. And this is a big offer. This is what my email's about here.
Mm-hmm.
So including a link up there can also help generate more click-throughs.
And when we started using pre-header text in our vertical response emails, we did see an increase in our clicks, especially on that link.
Right.
And just a few more things to talk about here in regards to email. This is the content basics. And as Jill said, a lot of people have some struggles with coming up with content. So we'll talk about some ideas, but these are just some best practices to keep in mind. So your content is what keeps readers coming back for more. So you should change up your content. You should think out of the box a little bit. Have various sections of different content that's relevant to your recipients, and definitely fulfill upon the promise that you give when you encourage people to sign up. So if you're saying you're going to receive special email offers if you sign up for our email mailing list, you want to be sure that you're sending out some emails with special offers and fulfilling on that promise. So another thing to keep in mind is to limit your topics or articles in your email to about 3 to 5. You guys have probably seen this, but there's some email newsletters that are really, 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 really long, and you scroll and scroll and scroll, and it kind of everything gets lost in the shuffle. You're not really sure where to look. There's too much information, and that can be a bit of a negative experience and a little bit frustrating. So if you limit it and kind of narrow the scope a little bit and highlight just the real top things that are going on, that can be a lot more effective. You also want to include lots of links. And this is going to get people to your blog, to your social media, to your website, to the product, to the sale, whatever it is that you're talking about. You put a little bit of the information in the email and then link out to a page that has the rest of the information. You don't need to just like copy and paste everything from your website into the email. Another thing that you can do when it comes to creating your email is personalizing your message. And we have an example here. It's hello first name, and you can create a merge field like this in vertical response. You can also set up a default text so that if you don't capture that person's first name, it can say something else. We use vertical response customer. So that way it's personalized in some manner for them and it makes them feel special. Another thing to do is assisted scanning, and we talk about this a lot, but it's generally bolding headlines and keywords, using bulleted lists, creating numbered lists, like 3 top reasons, bullet 1, 2, 3, list them. White space is a good thing. You don't want to clutter too much. You want to have a little bit of space, and also columns. And some of the vertical response templates have 2, 3 columns, and that helps break up your content as well. And now some content ideas. So there are lots of things to talk about, and we'll just go over a few of them for you. Talk about what's happening with your business. If you won an award, if you have a new product, if you have a new feature, if you have a sale, those are all things to talk about. Testimonials. This is really great. So if somebody said something awesome about your company on your Yelp or on your Facebook, put it in your email in a little section and give a shout out to the customer for saying something great and encouraging that behavior. And also this will help other people that are maybe considering making a purchase from you to think, oh, okay, they have happy, satisfied customers. I'm going to go ahead and make a purchase from them. Webinars. So we do a lot of webinars here.
We do.
And that is definitely included in our email content. We put it in our newsletters. If we have a new series, we sometimes do a solo. We also put it on our social media and other efforts that are going on. If you have social media, which it would be awesome for your business, so if you don't, we have a lot of webinars and information about that as well. But that's great content too, because you can include it, excuse me, you can include that in your email and have people go check you out on Twitter and Facebook. And then questions and surveys are also great. It makes your customers feel special because they realize, oh, this company is interested to know what I think. They're taking my opinion into consideration, and it improves engagement as well.
One point on the holidays, this is one of my favorite things to tell, my favorite story for emails. Holidays don't necessarily have to be Valentine's Day or Christmas or something like that. It's entirely possible that what your business offers, your products or your services, don't necessarily fall into a specific holiday. So there could be something that works well for you, and maybe you can create your own type of holiday. My favorite example was from the NFL shop last year, and for whatever reason, they didn't do it this year, but I loved this email they sent. They sent an email on April 22nd, which is the NFL draft, or it was last year anyway. And they sent an email, and it said, "You are on the clock." So it was like I was at the draft picking my player, but instead what I got to pick from was my sale. So I could get 15% off my purchase, I could get free shipping, or I could get, I think it was something like $20 off a $100 purchase. So it was a really cute email. It was sent at a time in their business cycle that I'm sure had low sales because it's not football season. And so by coming up with their own holiday, the NFL draft, they were able to send out an email that was great, and it was very impactful. And because it wasn't a traditional holiday, it wasn't competing with a lot of other emails in my inbox. And so you could probably come up with something like that for your own business, that you could create your own holiday type of thing that can be kind of fun to send out emails for.
Absolutely. You know it's effective because it's a year later, and you're talking
And I'm
about
still talking
it.
about it. I know. I love that email. It was great.
So a few more content ideas for you. We talk about cause marketing a lot. It's actually something that we do here. And if you include a link to a good cause, it's a great way to increase engagement, and it makes you feel good, and it makes your customers feel good, and it helps the cause. So that's a really great content idea that you can include. Special offers, of course. Any sort of discount, any sort of coupon special, any sort of flash sale, whatever it is that you have going on, free shipping, whatever, that's something that you could and should be putting in your emails. This one's always cute. You are your employees' smiling faces. So this adds a real human element to it. You could do a employee of the month and put that as a content in your email or in your newsletter. And it creates a really great relationship between your customer and your employees or the company. Something else you could do are just tips or ideas for your customers. And we do this, which is how-tos, and this is great for really any B2B, just letting your audience know how to use our product, how to use this new feature that came out, how to use an upgrade, whatever it is, and just breaking it down really easily for them. Also, awards you've won, or if you're nominated. Janine is currently nominated for a Small Business Influencer Award, and we're
Janine's our CEO.
yes,
if you
Janine
don't know
Popick,
that.
our CEO. And if you want to vote, you can go on our Facebook page and find that there. And so we're including that in our newsletters with a little ad to say, vote for Janine. If she wins the award, we will absolutely be promoting that as well. And then any sort of related articles. So we do this a lot. We look for industry news, and we use that as well. And of course, crediting where it came from and the actual publication. But it's great information for our audience.
Yeah, and again, you don't have to write everything in your email. By finding blog posts or other websites that might be relevant to the people who are reading your email. Plus, by including information like this that comes from other sources, you'll become a resource for the people on your list, so that you are providing this additional valuable information for them.
Okay, so now for the really fun stuff.
Yes.
These are some examples. So this is an example of an email newsletter that came through, and there's a few things that we wanted to point out that were really great in the creation of this. They actually use a table of contents, and this is awesome because it links people down further in the email to the sections that they're talking about. So it's a bit of a longer one, and people can look over here and say, oh, okay, I'm interested in meetings and events, or I'm interested in the investor circle, or the leaders playing defense article, and you can click on that, and then it will link you down further in the email to the content that you're looking for. So that really helps people to navigate a bit of a longer newsletter. Another thing that they did that we talked about was including their social media. So they have this cute intermission here that says you can find us on these places and tell others that you're reading our newsletter. So that gets some really great buzz and gets people back to your social media. Also, they have some smaller content sound bites like the conservation tip and the featured offsetter. So that's something that you can do to break up your content and just have, short pieces and then it's linking out. Here's another example of a really great email, and this one shows how you can link out and have smaller articles and then tell people to read more. So they're including little excerpts, and then they're pulling them in, like this one's from Fortune, and so they're also using other content and crediting that the publication where they got the content. Okay. And this is an example, and Jill kind of touched upon this when she was talking about the NFL, but creating your own holiday or using a lesser known holiday is a reason to engage and communicate and build relationships with your customers. So this is from a nonprofit, and they're actually discussing Teacher Appreciation Week. It's not really a holiday per se, but it's definitely a reason to communicate with your audience, especially if it's applicable. So this one, in this email, they are sending out an email to their audience, and they're saying you can donate and honor teachers with a certificate from their students' parents to celebrate Teacher Appreciation Week. So that's a great way to build engagement. Okay. And this one is awesome because it's all about testimonials. And we talked about using testimonials in your emails. And the picture itself really is a testimonial. The people look happy, they look like they're enjoying where they are, they're having a good time. So that right off the bat is really eye-catching. And then they have these 3 separate testimonials about people talking about what an awesome experience that they had. And that speaks volumes as to how effective this tour is.
Also, I really love, and you don't have to do this, of course, if you don't have the resources, but I love how they created their social media icons to look like
cute.
bottle caps, because this is a brewery. So that's a really cute idea. But again, if you don't have resources, you certainly don't have to go and create fancy ones like that.
And one other thing that they're doing too that's really great is they're saying you can share your stories and here's where to contact us to do that. So they're actually encouraging people to write further testimonials.
Yeah, that's great.
This is another really great testimonial email, and they're using the testimonials to sell their products. So they have ratings, 5 hearts, why somebody loves this product with an image of it, and they sent out an email, and it's really effective. It's super cute. I actually use that lotion. It's very good. And then birthdays. Birthdays are a really wonderful reason to send an email. It could be your birthday. It could be a dog's birthday. It could be your customer's birthday. It could be your company's birthday. Whatever is relevant. Really great time to engage, and then you could have them come in for their birthday and get their free gift. Mm-hmm. Birthday cookie.
And the picture of the dogs is adorable.
It's so adorable. Dogs and party hats.
So this email has, again, some of the points that we've been talking about. It's using columns. There's plenty of white space for you to be able to read what's going on in here. And if you look at the article on the right-hand side, this is some of the cause marketing that we were talking about. So they sent this in October during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and they were doing some donations for purchases of their pink champagne. So they were able to tie in their product with cause marketing. So that was really great. Plus, the information in here, they're selling their product, but they also have other things going on. And so my screenshot isn't all that great. But under this, you can see where there's events that they have coming up at their winery. And they also include a recipe. So, something that would go nicely with their wine, but it isn't specifically selling their wine. It's just information that's entertaining that draws their readers to want to continue to read the emails. And I don't know why, but we have another winery example.
Because we have lots of winery customers.
Oh, that's what it is. It's not because I drink a lot of wine. So this is actually one of my favorite examples next to the NFL Shop email, which I didn't put in here. These guys do a really great job with their email marketing. Again, they touch on a lot of the points that we talked about earlier. Again, they're using columns. There's lots of white space, so it's really easy to read. They have very short snippets of text so that you don't have to spend all day reading to find the information you need. They have links that are linking out to their website. So once you've seen the information about the wine, you can go and find it. They're also doing a great job of merging information in their email. So not only are they personalizing it with their recipient's first name and last name, they also have a loyalty program, and they're merging in the points at the top of this email to let their reader know how many points they have in their loyalty program. And if you'll notice, you can also see how many points they'll earn when they make a purchase of wine. So it's just a way to help encourage the person reading it to go and get some more loyalty points or spend their loyalty points. It's a really nice selling point. It's something that I really like about this particular email.
It's really clean too with lots of white space.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
And small images so that even people with not great internet connections will still be able to see the images and not have to wait all day for them to load. So this is one of my favorites as well. Again, it's a winery. I had no idea. I love this email, and I think it was sent out last year, but I'm not sure I'm going to change it anytime soon because this is such a great idea. So what they've done here is paired Girl Scout cookies with wine.
Amazing.
Yeah, how often do you see that? You really don't. And it was sent out during Girl Scout cookie season, which I don't know if you know, but that is a season. And so it's a great way to incorporate something that's going on that people know about, something that happens annually, Girl Scout cookie time. And they're pairing that something cultural with their wine. It was really fun. And also, the other thing that I really like about this email, besides how clever they were in getting people's attention with their content, is they also have a survey up in the top right-hand corner there. And that's also a great way to help keep your readers engaged, is ask them a question and have them answer. People love to give you their opinion, and using a survey is a really easy way to do that. And this is just kind of a trivia thing, but you could also ask questions of your readers about a product or a service or something like that, get their feedback. You can do a lot with surveys in your emails.
They actually, speaking of being timely, they sent this 88 years to the day of when Girl Scouts started. So,
wow, that's very timely.
Yeah.
So here is another example of using something that people know about, a cultural holiday type thing. It's not really a holiday, but Earth Day is something that a lot of people are very interested in. And what they've done here is at the bottom of this email, they have their products. But at the top of this email, they're asking people to become a fan of theirs on Facebook. And it's a nice graphic that they have there. And all they're saying is for all of their new Facebook fans they get, they're going to plant trees, which is great. It's a great way to give back to their community and to help celebrate this particular holiday. Again, not something that you get the day off for, but it's a great holiday type of thing that can work well with your business or services that you have. So call to action. I hinted at this earlier, but we're going to talk about it a little bit more now. So call to action is basically what it is you want your readers to do when they're reading your email. So if you want them to go to your website and make a purchase, if you want them to come and sign up for an event that you're holding, if you want them to make a donation to your organization, whatever you're trying to get people to do, you can do that with a call to action. So a couple of things that you want to keep in mind is you want it to be very clear. You don't want to confuse the people reading your email as to what they're supposed to be doing. So make sure your call to action is really clear. If you're using a link, which you should be using as a link to send them to wherever you want them to go, make sure that link is putting them where they expect. So if you're asking them to make a purchase of a particular product, make sure that your link is going to that product page, not dropping them just on your website and making them find it. Or if you're asking them to download a white paper, send them there. One of the things with call to actions that we've done, and we will talk about this a little bit in some of the next couple of examples, but call to actions with a button instead of just a link tend to be a little more effective. And that's something that we tested with our own newsletter, where we included a button that we said, read now or click here. And we find people really like to click on buttons. We saw a large increase in our click-throughs. So that's something that you can test out. We have also recently launched a new feature for people using our system, and you can make your own call to action buttons. It's free. It's just a service we're offering. And if you go to buttons.verticalresponse.com, you'll be able to create your own call to action button. So you can have it say something like, click here. They should probably know that. But, read now, download, sign up today, whatever you're trying to get people to do.
Make a purchase.
Make a purchase. You can use that on your call to action button. You can set up what color it is, and then you can put it in your email. It's just like setting up any image in your email. So you would just put it in your email as an image and then link it to wherever you want them to go. And I have some examples of call to actions here. So this first one is coffee. And you'll notice that it says, click here to learn more at the bottom. Those are call to action buttons, as well as the buttons above the product. So you can see the different types of products that they're offering, and those are buttons, as well as explore our exclusive selection of gourmet coffee. So those are all call to action buttons. They're a different color from the rest of the email, so they stand out, making it really easy for your reader to find the information that you're trying to get them to. So your call to action button should be something that's a little bit different in color from the rest of your email, so that people can see what they're supposed to do. The only thing on this email that I would probably change is the black background. That makes it really hard on your eyes to read white text on a black background, especially in the small space of a email program. This could be really fatiguing to your reader's eyes. So although it may not be as cool to look at, if you use a white background with black text, you'll be giving your readers a better opportunity to read your email, because it'll be a little easier for them. And then here's another example of a call to action button, and hopefully your eyes were drawn to that. It's pretty bright in there. So this company is asking people to vote for them in a local competition. And so the call to action in here says vote for Hand in Hand. So it's very direct. Anyone reading this email knows exactly what they're supposed to do with this. And although it goes with the colors in the email, because the background is white, the red button really stands out. So it's very clear what you're supposed to do here. So images. I have some more examples here of do's and don'ts for images. But images are things that you want to include in your email. Images can help engage your audience. It also helps to break up the text in your email by having images in there. So it's easier for your readers to read your email if your text is broken up a little bit with the images. You do want to keep in mind that people are reading this on their email program or even possibly on their phone. So think about your audience, what they're going to see. You don't want to use images that are really huge, because it can take a while for those to download. Not everyone has high-speed internet. So keep the images fairly small. Also, if they're looking at it on a phone, a really large image can take up the whole space of the viewing area, and then they're not going to know what your email is about. Always link your images. Most people know that their images that images are clickable. So make sure you link them, because that's something we're going to track for you, and you can see where people are getting to your website and what links they're clicking on. Always add alt text, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more on the next two slides, but alt text is what shows up when images are being blocked by email programs. And then the 80-20 rule. So you always want to have a balance of text and images in your email. And usually what we say is 80% text, 20% images, but it's something that you're going to need to work with in your email. Maybe you're an artist or you have a gallery or something like that where you have a show coming up. You'll probably need more than 20% images to get people to see what's coming up. So you can play with that. It's not hard and fast. Maybe 60/40 will work better for you. But the thing to keep in mind is that you need to have the important information from your email in the text, not in the images. And we're going to look at that now. So this email is exactly what I just talked about. It's a nice balance of text and images. Everything that's important in this email is in text. So the event that they are advertising in their email is text, even though it's got a color for background, it's text and not an image. The information about the limited time offer and the things that are on offer, all in text. And the really important thing is all of their contact information is in text. So their phone number, their website, and their email address is text, not in an image. They have nice images. Again, it's a nice balance of text and images. So we come over to this one, and I've done this webinar quite a few times, and somebody asked one time, well, what does it look like with the images blocked? So I took a screenshot of that, and that's what we're looking at in the bottom right-hand corner here. This is the same email we were just looking at, but you just can't see the images because I left them blocked in my email program. And as you can see, all the important stuff I can still see: contact information, the sale offer, and the event that's coming up. So that's why it's important that you have a balance of text and images. This is what the email would look like when it came into my email program before I clicked the link to turn on the images. Now, I also mentioned alt text. So alt text is what shows up when emails have the images blocked in the email program. And it's kind of like a backup for your image. So if you look at the top part of the email in the bottom there, the alt text says green form header. That might be a good place to actually put like your website, since that's the header there, the logo for the email. And then the rest of them, it's a great way for you to reach your reader with a little more information. So maybe you want to say what your offer is, or if you have an event, you can include that information as the text backup to your image. If you look at the top screenshot, this is an email from a big company, and their emails are made up of all images, which we really don't recommend that you do, and I'll show you why on the next slide. But they have alt text for their images, and so all of the text that you see in the image at the top of the screen is set up in the alt text. So this is the backup information to the images that are not showing. They have the entire sale information. There's like 3 sentences that they put for their alt text, so that even though I didn't see the images when I first saw the email, I could see when the sale was, I could see how long it was, and I could see how much I would save. And I can see a promo code as well. Now, that is something you don't necessarily have to do. You don't have to have that much information in the alt text, but having a little bit that could be something that entices your readers to go to your website, or at least turn your images on, is what the point of the alt text is. And then this is why not to have an email of just images, because if the email program on the receiver's end is blocking images, this is what they're going to see. So this one doesn't have alt text. There's just 2 broken image icons, and the first line of text in this email is the unsubscribe link. So you work really hard to build your mailing list and to create your email campaigns. The last thing you want to do is drive your readers to unsubscribe. So again, a balance of text and images will help in this situation. Plus, an email like this could go into the spam folder, which is the last place you want your email to go. So some last tips really for designing your newsletter. Think about your branding for your email. You want to make sure when people are opening the email that they know that they've clicked the right link and they're looking at the right email. So have consistent branding. Also, a lot of people look at emails on the preview pane, so you have to keep in mind how they're going to look at that. We also have some info on how to make it easy to scan, and we're going to talk a little bit about the text backup.
So this example here is just about consistent branding. So this company has created a type of wine, and they have a label, and they're being very consistent with what's on the label of the bottle of wine to what's actually showing up in the email. And then to take that one step further, the top part with the Classic Car Wines is actually really matched to their website as well, so that when they link out and they go to the website, they're having a very clear, consistent experience.
So as I said, again, you have to remember how people are reading their emails. And a lot of people use programs like Outlook or MacMail that have preview panes. And so keep in mind that people will not necessarily be looking at your whole email. They're going to be looking at a piece of your email. So this is why you want to have the important information of your email near the top, and also use a table of contents. So if you look in our screenshot here, you'll see that there's a table of contents. And this is something that we had talked about earlier as well, using a table of contents to help draw people further into your email. And it really comes into play when people are looking at a preview pane, because now they can see what else is in the email that they haven't seen yet because they haven't scrolled down. And this is also a great reminder that you should also be using pre-header text, because this information is what's going to show up at the top of your email as well. It's the first line of text in your email. So that will be what they see as well in the preview pane.
So this is an example of an email that is just very easy to scan. The reader can quickly find the information that they're looking for. So right under the image, they have 8 treasures of Qigong, and it's really easy to see the instructor, the time, how much it costs, when it's at, that there's an open house, and then it's the same thing underneath for a different event that they're having. So the reader has a really good experience when they open this email, because the information is just super easy to find and readily available. Also, there's a lot of white space, and even though they're not using a white background per se, it's light enough that the black and the red actually stands out, and so it's still easy enough on the eyes. And then this is just an example to show what the text backup looks like. So not everybody is actually seeing the HTML version of your email. Some people are on Blackberries. For whatever reason, sometimes it'll just be rendering the text version. So this is what they see, and we just kind of wanted to give you a visual of what it looks like. So behind the text, you can see the actual email with the HTML and all the images, and then over to the right, you can see what it looks like if someone is seeing the text. And it's very important to remember to include links still, because people want to click out and then they know where to go to get further information.
Plus, you want to make sure that the text version is easy to read. And the same rules are going to apply to your text version that apply to your graphical version. So, you want a couple of lines of text and then have a link that goes to where people can go read it on your website. You also don't want too many links in a row, because it starts to get hard to read and hard to click on the right link. So just take a look at your text version before you send your email out. Make sure it's easy for people to read. So once your email has gone out, you can learn from your newsletter how your readers are reacting to what you're sending to them. So we're going to give you reporting information on how your email is doing. So we're going to tell you who's opening, who's clicking on links. You're going to know the time and the day that they're opening your email or clicking on the links. And that can help give you some insight into your recipients, what they're interested in, when they're looking at your email, which can help you decide when you're going to send it out, the day or the time when they react best to your email. And the reporting information is live, so once your email goes out, you can start seeing the opens numbers going up.
It gets really addictive, too, when you send it out.
Yeah, we do tend to watch what's going on. We also have lots of other tools available in the account. So we can track the clicks on the links. We're going to tell you what links are being tracked, and then we're going to tell you how many times they've been clicked on. You can also compare your emails, especially if you're doing an A/B split test, but even if you're not, maybe you're sending out a monthly newsletter, and you want to see how your different newsletters are doing. You can set up reports to take a look at that and compare it. So in my screenshot here at the bottom right, one of my emails had a really great open rate. So that's something I would want to take a look at. Why was that one so much better than the others? Did I have a really catchy subject line? Was it when I sent it? Did I send it on a specific day? Did I send it on a day I don't normally send it? Maybe that was it. So take a look at the reporting, learn from the reporting, apply it to your next newsletter, and continue to grow in what you're sending to your readers and bringing in more business.
And also in regards to reporting, and we don't touch on it here really, but if you are including social media icons and information in your emails and your newsletter, we also have new reporting for that as well.
We do, as long as you're using the icons that are built in there. We can track clicks on those as well. So in summary, newsletters help to build relationships with your customers or your soon-to-be customers. The best practices for newsletters aren't necessarily all about selling. Again, you're building a relationship here, and you don't want to inundate the people on your mailing list with an email that keeps saying buy, 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 buy. You want to give them something of value, something that makes them want to open your email and be excited to see your email show up in their inbox. So include additional information besides just what you're selling. Again, make sure you're representing your brand. When they open that email, you want to make sure they know that it's yours, and that when they click through to your website, it's also looking exactly how they expect. Keep in mind what your audience will see. Again, not everyone has high-speed internet, so you don't want huge images. They could be looking at your email in a preview pane, so have important information at the top. Or they could even be looking at it on a cell phone. So again, important information should be at the top. And use call to action buttons. Those are easier for people on cell phones to click on, and it'll get the attention of anyone who's looking at your email. And you can learn from every newsletter to make the next one even better.
And just a little bit of supplementary information if you want further reading. Jill just wrote a very awesome guide that we will be releasing next week, which is creating emails for mobile phones and inboxes. It covers a lot of the topics that we talked about here and how to make sure that no matter what device your recipient is on, that they will have a positive experience with reading your email or your newsletter.
So here are, yes, I did just write that guide.
Very good.
Here are some resources for you, as I promised. Our help site is always there for you. So as you're creating your email and you're putting images in or you're setting up your links, our help site can help you do that. There's short videos. They're like 2 minutes long. You can watch those. Or text tutorials. The Marketing Lounge is basically a forum if you haven't been there. And there's lots of people there talking about email marketing, and they have tips and tricks, and they're more than happy to answer your question. There's probably about 10,000 people there, so you're bound to find someone who can answer your questions. The VR Marketing blog, always a great resource. If you haven't gone there, you should go take a look. There's all kinds of great information there. Tips on subject lines, tips on content. There's all kinds of things to do with email marketing there. If you do have questions as you're using your account, please get in touch with our support team. Their email address is there as well as the phone number. They also have live chat support as well if you want to chat in with them. As I said, we recently released the buttons site. So if you wanted to make your own call to action buttons, you can. Again, those are free. And then the guides that Amber mentioned earlier are on our guides page, and that's the URL. Although the easiest way to get there is just go to verticalresponse.com and click on the resources tab, and you'll see where the guides are. There is the mobile phone guide. There's 5 steps to creating an email that you also might want to take a look at. It's some 5 basic ideas to keep in mind when you're creating your email. There's also email reporting basics, yes, which can help you understand your reporting. So once you've sent your email out, that will help you understand what a good open rate is and how you can get a better open rate, or what's a good bounce rate and how to lower your bounce rate. It has all the information about statistics and how to make your emails more successful.
There's also guides on subject line writing, yes, copywriting, if you need help with that too. So wealth of knowledge there.
Yeah, and speaking of that, we have lots of webinars just like we have today. And we actually have a specific webinar on subject lines coming up on August the 4th. So if you're interested in learning a little more in detail about how to write a good subject line, and we have lots of examples of good subject lines in that one, you might want to go take a look at that. Again, that's on August the 4th. That's one of our short ones, so it's about 20 minutes with some Q&A.
And it'll be me.